Some of the energy.
No. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Lincoln Lancaster County Planning Commission of June 10th, 2026. A printed agenda is available outside the hearing room, and a copy of the full agenda, including the staff reports, are available online or at the Planning and Development Services Department, room 203. The Open Meetings Act is posted just inside the doors at the back of the room. In addition, a copy of all staff reports and other relevant documents for the matters to be considered by the Planning Commission are included in a binder that is located on the dais and is available to the public for review. Out of courtesies for those attending this meeting, commissioners and the staff, cell phones may not be used in the chamber during any portion of this meeting. We appreciate your cooperation. Please note the Planning Commission action today is final on the following items. Item 1.2, Special Permit 26027, and Item 4.3, Special Permit 26026. Any aggrieved person may appeal final action of the Planning Commission to the City Council or the County Board by filing a notice of appeal with the clerk within 14 days following the action of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission action on all other items is a recommendation to the City Council or County Board. The first item of business is approval of the minutes of the regularly held meeting, May 27, 2026.
I move approval of the minutes.
Second, Rodenberg.
Shelley?
Cruz,
Yes.
Eber,
Abstain.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost,
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Minutes approved.
The next item of business is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be called at the same time and will not be scheduled for a separate public hearing unless there is a request from someone wishing to speak or at the request of a commission member. I will now ask Shelley to read all the consent agenda items into the record. Once those items are read, she will ask if there is anyone wishing to speak. If you wish to speak on an item on the consent agenda, we would ask that you stand and state that item. That item will then be removed from the consent agenda and scheduled as a separate public hearing under Section 3 of today's agenda. All items remaining on the consent agenda will be voted upon in total with a motion for approval. Shelley, will you please call the items on the consent agenda?
Item 1.1A, Annexation 26007, East Dominion Estates, 4th Edition, annexation of property generally located at North 112th Street and O Street, associated with Item 1.1B, change of zone 26011, East Dominion Estates, 4th Edition, for a change of zone from AG Agricultural to H4 General Commercial and from AG Agricultural to R3 Residential, on property generally located at North 112th Street and O Street. Item 1.2, Special Permit 26027, Tonkinson Borrow Pit, to allow for soil excavation on property generally located to the northeast of Northwest 98th Street and West Superior Street. And this is final action. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on these items?
There are none.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting these sites to be disclosed?
There are none.
Is there anyone here wishing to speak on these consent agenda items?
Dan Davenport. I'd like to speak on 1.1A and 1.1B, please.
Come on.
Okay, those items then will be on public hearing, and I'll let you know when you'll be called up.
Okay.
I move approval.
2 seconds. We will put that item on public hearing section 3, and now that we will now move forward on the consent agenda items. Thank you.
I move approval of consent agenda, just item number 1.2.
Shelley?
Nope.
Or
Need a
who's there?
second.
Second, Rodenberg.
Okay.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Ryman Yost,
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Consent agenda approved, 7-0.
We will now proceed to the public hearings. Prior to staff making a brief presentation, each staff person should state their name, agency, and address. The applicant will then be requested to present their testimony, followed by those who wish to testify in support, followed by those who wish to testify in opposition. The staff will then be given an opportunity for rebuttal. If during your testimony you have copies of documents or materials you would like distributed to the Planning Commission members and/or included as part of the record, please provide them to the clerk. Each person testifying should say their name and address and shall have 5 minutes to speak unless additional time is requested and granted. The clerk will use the light system to help aid your timing for testimony. The lights will appear on the monitors provided. The clerk will indicate when you have 1 minute remaining to wrap up your testimony. The red light indicates that your 5 minutes have expired once the final minute has lapsed. Then the clerk will indicate that your time is up. The Planning Commission will vote immediately at the close of the public hearing unless the commission votes to defer action or continue the public hearing. Shelley, would you please call the first public hearing item?
First items that is item 1.1A, annexation 26007, and item 1.1B, change of zone 26011 that were pulled off the consent agenda. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on these items?
No.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting these sites to be disclosed?
There are none.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners. Jacob Schlengi, Planning and Development Services Department, 555 South 10th Street. As you heard today, this application that is before you is a combined application for annexation and change of zone on this property. There's a separate annexation area relative to the change of zone area. So I'll first talk about the annexation area that you see here. It's approximately 18.87. Oh, excuse me. So the annexation area includes this area here along 112th Street and Legends Lane, as well as this area here northwest of the intersection of O Street and North 112th Street. The initial application that was submitted to the Planning Department and what you might see in the application letter was just for annexation of this area. However, the area to the northwest of the intersection was added to allow the applicant to make the necessary improvements on the intersection there at O Street and North 112th Street, which is part of the Lincoln on the Move funding. The change of zone, as I mentioned, is a slightly different area because it does not include the right-of-way northwest of 112th Street and O Street. We're looking at 18.87 acres changing from AG to H4 general commercial, and then this north parcel here would change from AG to R3 residential, and that is 2.21 acres. This area is in Tier 1 Priority A of the growth tier map for the 2050 Comprehensive Plan, which includes undeveloped land within the city limits, as well as areas that are not annexed yet, which are part of a final approved plan. And that is the case here. There's a final approved plan for both of these parcels. We're looking at preliminary plat for East Dominion Estates, which includes this portion here that's set to change to R3. And then there's a special permit for planned service commercial here with the area that is set to change to H4. So both of those are following what is already approved in the final approved plan. Just to provide you with a little bit more context for the current zoning that exists in this area, I apologize, my map is sideways, so I'll keep it oriented this way. This is north. So if you look at the area, you'll see right now this parcel that's proposed for the change of zone to H4 is pretty much surrounded on 3 sides by H4 zoning already, the H4 zoning district. The parcel to the north that's proposed to change to R3 is adjacent to the R3 residential here to the north and to the west. And this area that is proposed to change to R3 is not going to be more residential houses, but will be used for detention for the existing preliminary plat. So the recommendation from the Planning Department is approval on this. It's compatible with the comprehensive plan in terms of future land use and the existing zoning that is adjacent. But most importantly, I think it is compatible with the final approved plans for both the preliminary plat for East Dominion Estates and the East Dominion special permit for planned service commercial that exists in this area here. So I'll take any questions that you have about this application, these applications, excuse me.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Testimony from the applicant.
Good afternoon, members of the Planning Commission. Danae Kelkowski appearing on behalf of the property owner, White Holdings LLC and Fund 51 LLC. Jacob did a good job explaining this. Maybe I'll just make a couple additional points, given that I think there was one letter in opposition too. So this piece of property's been before you multiple times and in front of the city council multiple times, right? So back in 2023, we came in with the preliminary plat for the entire site so that we could master plan the grading and drainage. Even though we knew we were coming back with the commercial area at a later time, there was a comp plan amendment that went along with that to show that area as commercial. And intentionally, the property was developed with residential to the west, because there is residential to the west of us, and with additional single-family residential to the north to provide buffers between this proposed development and the existing development to the west and to the north. Most of which was not yet quite build right adjacent to us, but it was put in place to put everybody on notice. A year later, we did come through with a special permit for the anticipated commercial portion of the property. It's a planned service commercial special permit, which typically goes with the H4 zoning. And at the time, as Jacob mentioned, we came in with the first phase, I guess, of the commercial zoning, which put pretty well set the stage for what would be coming in the future, right? We're now at the stage where they're getting ready to start putting in the internal infrastructure for the commercial. So we've asked for the zoning and annexation of the remaining portion under the special permit. And as Jacob mentioned, they brought in that little piece along O Street. That was right away that was granted to NDOT at the very beginning of this project. And so it just wasn't included when we did the original annexation of the southern portion because it was NDOT. But it makes sense to get that annexed now because we were just at City Council on Monday with the amendment to the annexation agreement to provide for the construction of the roadway improvements at 112th and O Street, which does have some Lincoln on the Move funding going toward that intersection. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Commissioner.
Yes, Danae, why was it done in tiers like this instead of all at once?
It's pretty typical that we would annex and zone in phases because the minute we annex and zone, then all of a sudden we're within the city, it raises your taxes. And if you don't have immediate plans to develop, it just makes sense to defer if we can. But we put in place sort of the background, the master plan, back in 2023 for what was going to be happening to this property.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Testimony in support. Testimony in a neutral position. Testimony in opposition.
Okay, Dan Davenport, 602 North 112th. We have the farmland just to the east of this project, and I've been here several times in the past, and I've had several concerns about the water issues, and I will continue to have them, especially when they're putting in the turning lanes down on the highway, and that water coming, down across the fields and things like that. Maybe just put us out of business, so to speak. But the other thing that I'm concerned with these buildings and things they're putting in, last time I was here, I was talking about there's a plateau across the road. That is our buffer, what I was told. Our buffer from this commercial buildings is the road. So we got a great buffer, but it's 20 foot high. you have to go to the second story of the house to see over the dirt, and then they're going to build a large building on top of that. But, you know, that was all, that's a done deal. That's been there for 2 years. The buildings aren't there yet, but they're going to be at a level way above, you know, putting in some type of privacy fence and things in our front yard is just ridiculous. We've had an estimate just last month to come in, put in some trees, possibly build a berm to try and make it a buffer between this area. $22,000 for the front yard. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I've got some concerns with those types of things and just the way it's, you know, our taxes have gone way up just like everyone else's, but nobody's building a industrial storage building across the street and increasing their taxes. Nobody else is here because they own all of that buffer area. Nobody else has to be notified of these meetings. There's a sign in the ditch, and the weeds and the grass in the ditch are higher than the sign. People don't pay attention to that when they drive by. They're going 80 miles an hour down the gravel road. The biggest concern I have is you guys are voting for things that are changing lives. And I haven't seen a single one of you out there to look at this project and to see what this is like from our house. Jacob hasn't been there. And he's the one planning this and telling you guys it's a great thing. It just, to us, there's nothing great about it. I agree. 112th and O Street, does it need turning lanes? Oh yeah. When you increase the speed limit to 65, when it was 55, they were going 65. Now it's 65, they're going 75. Is that an incredibly dangerous intersection? Yes, absolutely. But we're going about things, in my opinion, just wrong. We need to be more informed of what's going on in these communities that you're voting on and these people that it is affecting. Not just the tax dollars and the development going on. There's been 2 people come out, fantastic people from Lincoln Transportation Utilities. They've answered some questions I've had, but they've come out and they've looked at these things. They put eyes on my concerns, but only at my request. So when they come out, the only other people that have come out from the city and things is the people that need the right-of-way for the sewer lines. They need the right-of-way for the gas lines, all that kind of stuff.
1 more minute.
You know, it's just, that's the only time we see anybody from the city, from the planning, city commission, no one. It's disheartening.
Any questions for this testimony? Thank you. Any other testimony in opposition?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Krista Hawks, and I live at 620 North 108th Street. I have been trying to look into this a little bit, and I am unsure exactly what the proposed plans are for this commercial property, like what the developers plan to put in there, and I am concerned about that. I have small children. We specifically moved from Utah to this development, the Dominion Estates, in Lincoln, Nebraska, to have a nice, quiet family neighborhood. And I am concerned that this commercial development will interfere with that. I am especially worried about large floodlights, security lights around, whether it's a storage unit or just commercial buildings, creating a lot of light pollution at night, shining into my bedroom windows, keeping my children up. I'm worried about noise and gates opening early morning deliveries. Again, I don't know what is going in here, and I am concerned about that. So if I can get any clarification about that, then that would be greatly appreciated. But if anything, if you are going to approve this commercial development, I would ask that there be restrictions put in place regarding lighting and noise so as not to disturb this residential neighborhood. They are very expensive homes, and I do not want my property value diminished and make it impossible for me to sell my home one day because of the commercial development 2 blocks away. Thank you.
Any questions for this testimony? Thank you. Any other testimony in opposition? Staff questions. Okay, who would like to start? Gloria.
You just talked
Commissioner.
generally about city light restrictions.
Yeah, so I won't claim to be an expert on light restrictions, but we do have a process during the building permit review that it is reviewed for light trespass and making sure that we're meeting the city's policies that exist for light crossing a lot line. So that is part of the building permit review and something like this.
And then can you also talk about H4 noise?
Yeah, so there are also policies in place related to noise and the impact that it has on neighboring properties. Excuse me. The H4 is a little bit more of a heavy commercial, but it was created or conceptualized, and I think I've talked with this group before about the fact that H4 was conceptualized as a commercial district that could coexist with residential properties. And there are multiple other instances throughout the city where H4 is near single-family residential homes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rich?
Can you give us an idea of what is allowed and what is not allowed in H4?
I wish I had the use group table in front of me. Many commercial uses are allowed. Things like offices and retail would be allowed in H4, but also some heavier uses. I know the particular planned service commercial that was approved here does show some self-storage, which we classify as mini warehouses in our ordinance. So there are some heavier commercial uses that are permitted, but obviously it is not as intensive as our industrial districts throughout the city.
Is there any landscaping requirements that it will be provided in that buffer zone?
I guess do you have a specific location?
For
here
the
that-
neighbor that would be to the east, specifically?
So I would say we would fall back on the design standards that exist for landscape screening for things like parking lots and other intensive uses.
So it would have the bush and tree requirements?
So it
or
would follow
some type of fence?
It would follow the requirements of the design standards that
For the
exist.
building,
Yeah.
from building and safety?
So that's part of our design standards that we would review that
Okay.
within our Planning and Development Services Department.
And also then to the west with that buffer that's being provided with the residential district, can you remind us what the setback is on the buffer between the H4 and the residential?
I don't have the H4 setback off the top of my head. Steve probably can pull it up. I will point out, though, while he's coming up here, that there is, as Danae mentioned, there is R4 residential just immediately to the west that is a slightly denser residential zoning than the R3 in the adjacent neighborhood. And as Danae mentioned, that the part of the rationale behind that R4 zoning is that it does make a little bit more of a transition between the R3 residential and the H4 commercial by having that R4 that you can see. Oh, yeah, that was on the map there.
Steve Henriksen, Planning and Development Services, 555 South 10th Street. So the H4 has both a side yard and a rear yard when it's abutting commercial uses of 20 feet, but it is 50-foot setback when it's abutting residential. So any commercial in the H4 would have a 50-foot setback to the west. The city's noise ordinance, generally depending on where the disturbance starts from, between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. is typically about 65 decibel levels, but it reduces to 55 decibel levels in the evening. And that is, if for some reason somebody was having problems with that, they would contact the health department that would do the measurements for it. The light trespass standard is basically for it to be back down to 0 by the residential property line. It doesn't mean when you look out at the parking lot that you won't see the lights, but just that the actual light coming off of the parking lot lighting, the amount of light that is actually extending onto the adjacent properties would be 0. And any request for parking lot lighting, exterior lighting that's a part of a building permit, they're required to submit a lighting table that's done by a lighting engineer. And that is reviewed then to make sure that it conforms to the requirements based on the type of fixtures that are put in. So we're usually pretty confident that with new construction, that is something that is carefully reviewed.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions with, yes, Commissioner?
Because there's already been some work done on the grading of that property, I guess, and I can also ask the applicant, but regarding the neighbor, the testifier to the east, have there been any other concerns about drainage, runoff, water control?
I don't know of any concerns specifically off the top of my head, and maybe Danae can speak more to that. The application was reviewed by Watershed Management, as is typical with something like this.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Applicant rebuttal, please.
Let me talk just real quickly about kind of the uses on the special permit. Again, H4 Trade Center at 56 and Highway 2, H4 zoning, mix of office, retail. The reason for the H4, they like some contractor services, so builders who like to have an office but yet have an overhead door that comes up so they can have their construction vehicles there. I think that's the use that's envisioned here for this development. As Jacob and Steve said, will be required to meet all of the city standards for lighting and noise, as well as setbacks and screening, right? And again, just from the standpoint of process, we came in with the preliminary plat first and the comp plan amendment. Put the big map out there, grading plan for the entire site, so master plan grading for the entire site and use for the entire site. Even though it may be coming in sections, at the very beginning, the first applications that came through showed the big picture, right? Mm-hmm. And so unfortunately, it's painful to be on the edge of a growing community because things change. And it may be, in their opinion, not for the best, but it goes along with the growing city. Just for your information, and maybe this shows a little better, as part of the master plan for the grading and drainage, there is a detention cell up here, which will serve this residential, but also a large part of the commercial. Has to be in place in order for us to build anything that's going to drain into it, so in place. Another detention cell down here, which takes some of the residential and a little bit more, also has to be in place. Watershed makes sure those are in place before you start doing development that's going to disturb. I think the other part Mr. Davenport mentioned was basically when we go to construct, and I didn't bring a big enough map, but you can see we start the turn lane for the right turn lane here. A little bit of floodplain going through here and a drainage way. All of that will have to be taken into account with the plans for the 112th and O Street intersection. And now, since that intersection is getting Lincoln on the Move funding, that will be a city constructed project. So city has review of the design. City will be holding the contract for the construction of that and overseeing every portion of the improvements to that intersection. So no doubt that there will be things in the design taken into account to handle the drainage that comes through there because of the floodplain. Mm-hmm. I think I think that's what I wanted to hit, but I'm happy to answer any additional questions you might have.
Just one question on the change in elevations. Have you
Yeah, and
talked
I-
any more about that with anyone?
No, I
Okay.
haven't. And I don't know, I know a lot of grading was done early. I don't know that that's the complete grading for that site.
Okay,
I can't speak to that.
okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second, fight.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Veit?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Public hearing closed.
I move we approve annexation 26007.
Second, fight.
Okay, let's talk about both at the same time, if everybody's comfortable with that, and then we'll make a motion for the second after. Okay.
The change of zone, this is surrounded by, it just squares it off. I mean, that to me wasn't a big issue. And this has been on the plan for a long time. And so even with the H4 zoning has been planned for a long time, it's been the comp plan for a long time. So yeah, I just don't take issue with either of these, and I'll be supporting these applications.
My only comment comes personally. I lived outside the city and growing up, and it's Warhorse Casino right now. But all of that work got done, all of the movement of the dirt, and then nobody put in anything for years, and it was very frustrating. So I feel for living outside the city limits, but then the decisions affecting the people who live outside the city limits and having to see it every day, and weeds growing and nothing being built. So I feel for you. Unfortunately, I know my role as a planning commissioner is to look at our zoning regulations and our future comprehensive plan. And so I will approve this. I just do want to, I feel for the folks who live outside the city limits.
Yeah, and again, I agree with my fellow commissioners. There is processes in place for approving the next tier, or the next 10 years of the comprehensive plan. So right now is a great time if you want to have input for the next 10 years to really get involved in that process with the city. Planning department can help you understand where you can go online and where the meetings coming up in the future are, so you have that input. That's how these decisions are made in moving forward to the future. And again, we've been looking at this site for a while, and I really appreciate and feel for the neighbors also. I agree with you on that. It's really hard, and as the rural representative, these are always challenges. And as we look at the properties as we tour them, they are challenges for all of us. But I will be supporting the motion, and Shelley, let's go ahead and move forward.
Okay. Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Veit?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
I move approval of change of zone 26011.
Second, fight.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Veit?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Thank you. Let's move to the next item, please.
Next item, 4.1, Annexation 26006, annexation of property generally located at South 88th Street and Tellison Drive, including land north of Pioneers Boulevard. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on this item?
No.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting this site to be disclosed?
There are none?
Okay, hello again. Jacob Schlengi, Planning and Development Services, 555 South 10th Street. This application before you is for an annexation of approximately 20 acres, generally located at South 88th and Pioneers Boulevard. The initial application that was received was for annexation of just this one lot here in the northeast corner of the proposed annexation area. That application submitted by the owners of the lot there caused the planning department to kind of take a look at the surrounding area in light of our annexation policies. And as a result of that, we expanded the annexation area to include all of the property that you see on the map here. So there are 9 single-family residential homes in the annexation area, as well as right-of-way for South 88th Street, just on the north part, as well as Taliesin Drive and Pioneers Boulevard. And I mentioned the annexation policies of the city, so I just want to kind of share a little bit about the rationale behind those policies, which is really the idea is to expand the city in an orderly and cohesive fashion, providing clarity in the service of city services and providing those in a way that makes sense to residents. That includes things like maintenance and emergency response, as well as a question of equity for taxpayers who may be using or have access to some city-provided services, but not be in the city limits. And so as part of that, as you look at this area, you will see the city limits currently surround this annexation area on the west, north, and east. So this area that we've included in our annexation area is adjacent to the city limits on 3 sides. To the south, the only reason that it is not included is because there's a portion of the golf course to the south there that is not within the city limits. This is part of Tier 1 Priority B on the 2050 growth map within the comprehensive plan. And so what that means is that this was already designated for annexation during the first half of the 2050 planning period. And generally, areas in Tier 1 Priority B are already contiguous to the city limits and could be provided with basic infrastructure and city services. So in terms of those services, there are existing municipal services in the surrounding neighborhoods, including water and sanitary sewer. The applicant that initially submitted the request, again, this property here, has proposed in their application to extend the city water line that runs along South 88th Street up to serve their property at their own cost. So that is not something that would be assessed on the neighbors in the surrounding area. There isn't a requirement that if someone is annexed that they must connect to city water, although that would be an option. And after that extension along Taliesin Drive, all properties within the annexation area would have access to city water if they chose to connect. My understanding is that currently 8 of the 9 properties share an existing well. And so again, there's no obligation to connect to city water upon annexation. With sanitary sewer, there is an obligation to connect to city sanitary sewer if the property is within 300 feet of the existing sanitary sewer line and abutting that sanitary sewer line. Due to the way that the sanitary sewer is laid out in this area, the neighborhood is not currently served by sanitary sewer, but actually none of the 9 lots are adjacent or abutting an existing sanitary sewer line that they could connect to. So there are ways that all of these lots could connect, but they would not be required to do so because they are not abutting an existing line. So there is a line that runs through this easement, this outlot here, into Labrador Court, as well as along Pioneers here. So some of these properties could connect if they chose to through a non-abutting agreement connecting to Labrador Court or Pioneers Boulevard. And consulting with wastewater, there would be some ways that sanitary sewer could be provided from the east through Firethorn Golf Course if that was desired by residents. In terms of the applicant in that initial lot that was submitted for annexation, they have made a private agreement to connect with a non-abutting agreement to the north for sanitary sewer as part of the Firethorn private sanitary sewer system in Tralee Road to the north. Again, that would not be required that the other residents in the annexation area would connect to sanitary sewer. I want to talk briefly about emergency response because that is something that's considered when we look at an annexation. The area is currently served by the Southeast Fire District. Obviously, the areas within the city limits to the west and the north and the east are all served by Lincoln Fire and Rescue. And that includes this area in Labrador Court with the homes that are being built there. And so what you see there is the surrounding area of this annexation area being served with a much quicker response time than the area that's proposed for annexation here. So Lincoln Fire and Rescue did review the annexation proposal, and they said that this property could be served by Fire Station 12, which is about half a mile away, with an estimated travel time of 57 seconds. They did recommend, Lincoln Fire and Rescue recommended the inclusion of the entire annexation area rather than just the one property that applied for annexation, because there was concern that it would create some confusion if they were needing to serve this lot but not the surrounding lots. And so that was part of the recommendation, although they did note that due to the quality of the road there on Taliesin, that there could be some challenges due to that substandard nature of the road for road width and ability to turn around a fire truck if needed. This application was also reviewed by 911 Communications, and they also recommended approval of the full annexation area that you see here, and stated that the current rural fire and county sheriff response at this location has caused jurisdictional response confusion and questions in the past. So there have been some issues with that response time here in this area. The second to last thing that I want to talk about today here has to do with the roadways. Lincoln Transportation and Utilities would assume maintenance responsibility for all of the right-of-way in the proposed annexation area. So that, of course, includes Pioneers Boulevard. There's this chunk of Pioneers right now that is not part of the city limits, as well as the north end of South 88th Street and Taliesin Drive. In their review of the application, LTU noted the poor quality of the road, especially on Taliesin Drive, and that there could be some maintenance challenges there. In terms of what the alternative would be is if this lot here was annexed on its own, due to Nebraska state statute, we do have to annex the adjacent right-of-way to the property being annexed. So you would be looking at basically annexing a portion of the right-of-way here in order to annex that one lot. And then LTU would assume responsibility for maintaining that portion of the right-of-way, as well as South 88th Street that's already in the city limits, but not this portion of Taliesin Drive, which could cause some confusion in terms of the maintenance there. So while the existing street is suboptimal, and LTU acknowledged that in their review, I would point to the fact that there are other streets in the city limits already that are maybe not up to current city standards and might be comparable to this location. And the street could be improved in the future via a special assessment district if that was desired by the property owners. The last thing that I want to mention is that as part of this annexation, a portion of the property must be released from the Rural Water District number 1. That is an agreement that the city has with the Rural Water District that if property is to be annexed, it must be first released from the Rural Water District. So you can see on this map the area of annexation includes some portions of the Rural Water District, although none of the property owners here are existing customers of the Rural Water District. Because all of the area that's in the Rural Water District was part of the city-initiated portion of the annexation, the city is assuming the responsibility for paying the release fee to have those properties released from the Rural Water District. So that is something that's actually on the agenda for the Rural Water District's meeting tonight, and they will vote on releasing that portion of the property from the Rural Water District. So I guess just to kind of wrap things up in terms of the Planning Department's recommendation, as we look at the city's annexation policies in terms of equitable access to city services, clarity in terms of maintenance and emergency response, as well as expanding the city's boundaries in a clear and cohesive way, it makes sense in this case to annex the entire area and not just that one single lot, due to the challenges that might create if a single lot were annexed. So with that, I will take any questions that you have.
Who would like, Commissioner?
In past annexations, there's been compensation also to the rural fire department, and has that been discussed?
Yes, so that was something that was looked at. We have, as part of our process, we take a look at what the city might owe to the rural fire department. In this case, that was zero. So there is no obligation from the city to the rural fire department at this time.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I'll leave this up here.
Testimony from the applicant?
Good afternoon. My name is Winston Osgard, 1041 Taliesin Drive. Myself, in assistance with Olson Associates, were the original ones to submit the request for annexation, limited to my specific piece of property, 4010 Taliesin Drive. I understand the challenge associated with annexing a single residential piece of property. However, I feel my situation is materially different than the rest of my neighbors. When I purchased my piece of property, there was no house on it. I've been building my home from the ground up and spending time understanding my options for proper utilities. My north lot line is adjacent to current city limits, and I was able to reach an agreement with Firethorn Golf Club to connect to the private sewer system instead of relying on septic like the rest of my neighbors. While I have access to the shared community wells that serves the existing homes in the neighborhood, my thought process was thinking long-term over the next 30 to 40 years. Annexation and extending city water line would be a substantial upfront cost that I would bear, but nothing gets cheaper in the distant future. In contrast, my neighbors' properties have been established for decades. Collectively, they are self-sufficient with infrastructure already in place that is in good working order and meets their needs. Broadening my specific request for annexation to include them provides them with little to no additional benefit. While I support the original annexation request on my individual piece of property, I do not support the request for expanded to the rest of the neighborhood. It was never my intent or desire to do something the rest of my neighbors were not in favor of. If annexation cannot be considered on a parcel-specific basis, I would align myself with my neighbors who have formally expressed opposition.
Any questions from the applicant? No? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brad Marshall with Olson, 601 P Street. Winston approached us about helping him understand a particular area around Firethorn. I actually was involved with some of the annexation with Firethorn back in 2007. So we did a lot of the utility work around that particular lot, around Ikaru, as it's called, the Taliesin properties around there. We extended water mains to Firethorn, extended sewer throughout the properties and so forth. Just a couple of points of clarification. Winston does intend, upon annexation of his property, to extend water main down Taliesin. There's a water main in 88th Street that actually kind of goes about where my pen is located, about here, and upon his own cost, he would extend it down to his property, a new water main that would be in place for those to connect whenever that time came to be. The other is Firethorn is actually you heard that, private sanitary sewer system right now. It's owner operated by their utility company, Firethorn Utility Company, and at some point in the future, the plan is for that to become public, and the sewer system, Stevens Creek, has kind of come across 98th Street and coming down to the south from Van Dorn. It's there, but Firethorn continues to lift the sanitary to Pioneers still. It's, as I understand it, kind of at their discretion whenever they can kind of get the funds to go ahead and move forward with some of those improvements and turn it over to the city, at the city's discretion to accept that system also. So Winston's property is a little unique. Back in 2007, when we designed all of this and the subdivision that kind of was built through there, there was a sewer system, there was a sewer pipe that was extended directly to his property. He just became the benefactor of having that pipe right there and just having it available. And so, again, someday it will be public, but right now it's private. His plans to do the water system sometime in the future. So I would say I know a lot of these properties won't sewer through that pipe because of the depth. When it gets to about to his front to the cul-de-sac, it's only about 4 to 5 feet deep. So if anybody were to want to connect, it would also take like an injector system probably, if they had a basement, and most homes in Lincoln, Nebraska do have injector or have basements, so there would have to be some type of lift system. Someday, a lot of this, one option for sewer, and Jacob was saying, yeah, there is some options here along Pioneers and 88th Street. A lot of it in the low-lying areas actually come from the east that come through the golf course. And so ultimately someday that might be an option for gravity sewer systems to be constructed at that time too. So just want to point out a couple of intricate details of some of the challenges I've gone along with some of these properties and why they probably haven't had annexation at this point. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will have testimony in support.
I'm opposed.
In just a second then.
Sorry.
Anyone in
You're okay.
support? Anyone in a neutral position? Anyone in opposition? Come
There we
on
go.
up. And state your name and address, please.
Thank you. I'm Frederick Porter, and I'm at 4101 South 88th Street. And I don't know anything about the technology of all of this, but I want to say it's a lovely rural enclave, and my wife and I love it very much, and we would like very much not to be annexed by the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for this testimony?
Can you point to your property on that?
It's directly next to the church.
It's right behind the church,
Yes,
yes.
it's the one that juts out to
Yeah,
the west.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any other testimony in opposition?
Good afternoon. My name is Laura Bartles, and I live on right here by Pioneers and 88th. I bring a letter to you
Can you
today.
give me your street address, please?
Excuse me? Give me your street address.
4150
South 88th Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I bring a letter to you from the neighborhood, and yes, indeed, there are 9 houses in our circle or in Ikiru East, and in addition to Mr. Frederick or Mr. Porter's home, we have 7 signatures from all the homeowners in that group that are opposing to this annexation. And so I want to echo the desire also from Mr. Winston, who so kindly explained that, this is something that is not of interest of the neighborhood. Right now, we are a self-sufficient circle. I've been living there for 10 years with my family, and we've been taking care of the road to our up to our needs. We plow the snow. We make sure it's patched where it needs to be patched. We have a very good water system that is self-sufficient. We recently had put in a new pump and have worked on that, and everybody takes good care of their septic system. We really see no change in or any needs in that cost. That's all been fully paid and maintained yearly with our contributions to our neighborhood association. It's a very friendly group, and we communicate well about all those needs and keep it very simple. We also don't see any needs in change for services. We do pay for the bonds, and we are part of the school system, and we pay for all of those taxes. I believe it's D5 where we belong, but I might be wrong. But we currently have services for fire and also emergency that we feel is adequate for our needs, and we have had occasion to use that, and I think Jacob alluded to that has been some concern. I would like to know when that was, because like I said, we're a very close-knitted group, and we know about each other, and I don't recall that occasion where that was an issue for that, but I would like to know. In addition to that, thinking forward regarding the cost for this, I understand, and that's very fortunate that Mr. Ostergaard could, pull the water to here, and I understand that that's a benefit to our group if, in the event that we would need the water. But like I said, we do a very good job in maintaining, and it's adequate for our needs. But I am concerned about the cost that this could bring to my family and all the other neighbors when it comes to sewer system. And I do hear you that we don't need to at the moment be a part of that, but if, when this becomes more developed and as things move, this could become something that we would need to do it, and we don't need to do it. This is a very small neighborhood, and like I said, we have the infrastructure needed. We think the road provides enough for us. I understand you have the letter that we've submitted. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other testimony in opposition?
Roger Massey, Massey, 4130 Taliesin. That's the lot in the middle. Well,
You got it. Yeah, we can see your finger.
you
Go
can
ahead and
see
point.
it. I can't see
Go ahead and
that
point.
map down there.
You're okay.
I'm going to tell you, 53 years ago, my wife and I and 3 sons moved out to this subdivision that was 20-some miles from the city limits, 20 miles approximately. Barbara and Dick Youngscap developed it. We had lived in town. My wife was a school teacher. I was teaching at the university. We wanted some land for trees to grow and the kids, and it's been ideal. But what I want to mention to you is, in that time period, I've had all kinds of experiences with the sheriff's department, with the rural fire department, multiple reasons. They're in the western part of this section, the 360 acres. There's a little pond. It was all overgrown and treed from our house from about 88th to 98th. And there were a few parties out there that weren't people invited legally. And we became familiar with the sheriff's department because they would periodically come out. Secondly, I was one of the original investors with my neighbor, Mr. Youngscap, in putting together a group to buy land east of our house for Firethorn Golf Course. And we've been very happy with that whole development. Why do I mention that in context to the sheriffs? Well, during the construction period, we hired part-time deputy sheriffs. Well, one of those was Terry Wagner. And so we become very familiar. When there was one fire out there, Dick Youngscap, we went to see if we could help. Well, we got invited to the volunteer fire station. They wanted volunteers. Okay. Well, I can just tell you that as Firethorn evolved, it originally was just a few homes, very large, and the sanitary sewer system was provided by the waste going into big underground tanks, and trucks would pump it out. And it's been a problem, incidentally. I have no interest there. That sold, and I'm not any longer a neighbor or owner. Secondly, the second owner that bought that, multiple people, they soon found out the way you make money with a golf course is not running the golf course, but land development. So they started converting part of this area to more lots. And I will tell you, in 2005, the community unit plan that it was approved by, well, let me mention one other thing. In the 1970s, Helen Busalis called me. She was the mayor. You probably don't remember, you're too young, but she asked me to serve in the planning commission. Why? Because her nominee was vetoed by the 4 members of the city council. And she came to me because she knew I was a professor of city planning at the university and that I knew something about planning. Their argument was this nominee didn't know anything. So I said, Helen, I've just moved way out. And she says, well, wait a minute, it's the City County Planning Commission. I said, oh, I forgot that. Anyway, so I agreed. So I served in the 70s, and I have to tell you, in the early 80s, the grandfather of the applicant was appointed for a brief period of time. Okay. I am for helping this person get out there. We want young people, we want him there, and I am all for permitting that lot to be zoned because it is adjacent to the Firethorn Utility Corporation, which isn't functioning. It's all pumped mostly to 84th Street, not Pioneers. Most all of it is, anyway, that is changing with the addition of the sewer line from Van Dorn to Pioneer, whatever size. And that currently Firethorn Utilities is digging a line out to put waste in that location. Now, 2005, when
Your
I
5
said...
minutes is up.
My time's up?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for this testimony?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Any other testimony in opposition? Okay, staff questions. Yes, please start, Commissioner. Thank you.
I have a question about process and system here. Okay, so the applicant mentioned that, I mean, they don't want all of it to be annexed. And so if it's, you know, everything or just his, he'd rather not have anything annexed. So help me again understand, if he is not annexed, what he does not have the ability to do?
So he would not have access to city water,
Okay.
Which I believe is the intention, is to connect to city water. It would also not be served by the city's emergency response services.
Right, and all
things
the
like
other
that.
stuff that you listed, which is of course vital of how they communicate. Okay, I just wanted to understand that better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would add, he is going into a private sewer line, but the private sewer line runs into the city system. So I would say he's not going to be allowed to connect to the Firethorn sewer line because he would be the one person who is served by the private Firethorn sewer line who is not in the city limits. And for you to provide sanitary sewer service, that service includes the treating of the waste. So I would say, regrettably, we would not allow that connection to go forward.
Okay.
I realize it's going into a private line, but ultimately, if push came to shove, he's not in the city limits, but he's receiving treatment of that waste. So I would also probably go, and that's not a point we've discussed with the city attorney's office because we thought this was a fairly straightforward annexation.
Right, right.
Commissioner?
So how does city annexation work? Do you always have to have an applicant other than the city to annex? Because to me, it's surrounded, right?
Right.
So when does it become the city's going to annex this land and it's not on the applicant's back?
Yeah, good question. So the city could decide to annex the property without the application being submitted. In this case, the applicant submitted a request for annexation, and that triggered our kind of evaluation of saying, well, it really makes sense for all of this to be annexed. As I mentioned before, within the comprehensive plan, this area was set for annexation within the first half of the planning period already, with an application being submitted for one lot in this area. That's when it just made sense to annex the entire area. It wouldn't be necessary for the applicant to support the entire annexation area for the entire annexation area to go forward.
Yeah.
So my question is, I don't know what my question is. I understand his position. He has to live next to these people every day. So let's not make him the villain in a story, right? So do you deny it and have the city just come back 2 weeks later and do this all again? Or can we, do you see where I'm going? What is the right, and maybe this is part for discussion, but I just wanted your take on, can we approve this and basically get his name off of it in any way, shape, or form? Or how does that look on paper?
Yeah, good question. I think in writing the staff report, I think I tried to very intentionally say this area was proposed for annexation by the city and not by the applicant. And it's clear in the staff report, the applicant requested this one lot. The city made the determination that this entire area makes sense to be annexed. Thinking about the considerations that I talked about before, as well as some of the applicant testimony, I would just add a few things. One being that all of the properties in this area are already benefiting from city services, and if only for the fact that it's impossible to leave any of these properties and not drive on city right of way, right? This area right here is not annexed into the city, but as soon as you leave this portion of Pioneers, you're driving within the city. And for the folks on 88th Street and everybody up here on Taliesin Drive, they already have to drive through the city in order to access anywhere else they want to go. These individuals are not paying the city wheel tax right now because they're not within the city limits, but they are still benefiting from the LTU maintenance of all of these city roads that they're driving on. And the other thing that I would add in terms of the concerns about the more rural setting and sort of the lifestyle that they all appreciate here, none of that has to change as a part of this. As I mentioned before, there is no obligation to connect to city water or sanitary sewer, and there's no change of zone proposed here. So there's nothing changing what would be allowed here or what would be, the zoning of the area is going to remain the same. It's just a matter of bringing this area into the city limits.
Jacob, bottom line, is this a case of kicking the can down the road? Because if in fact, ultimately, this area will be annexed by the city, it really, if in fact this is an area that was already being reviewed as a possible area to be annexed according to the 2050, first half of the 2050 comprehensive plan, are we really talking about, yes, maybe we say this now, but this could be coming up again in a year or 2 years or whatever, or 2 weeks for whatever we know. Are we kicking the can down the road?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the area is in Tier 1 Priority B, so those are areas that were already planned to be annexed in the first half of the planning period, that planning period being all the way out to 2050. But so that is an area that was already slated for potential annexation. And I would say there are any number of things that could change the circumstances for the residents here right now. Someone might have their septic system fail and decide they need to be served by city sanitary sewer and have to apply for annexation in the future anyway, and connect to that. This is something that came about as a result of that initial application.
Any other questions? Thank you. Testimony from the applicant.
Oh, anything else?
I meant rebuttal by the applicant, excuse me. Jeez. More sleep.
No real rebuttal, just, wanted to reiterate my point. It is a small, tight-knit community, and, my intent, or desired intent was never to do something the rest of the neighborhood was not in favor of. And, just want my neighbors to know that, and you to know that as well. And, whether we're kicking the can down the road or not, maybe 2050 is a long ways away. Maybe it comes up in a year, maybe it comes up in another couple of years, maybe it comes up in 2050. But with all of my neighbors in opposition and with the understanding that annexation on a parcel by parcel basis is probably not feasible, I probably side with my neighbors on this one, and the unintended consequence of just requesting annexation for myself and not understanding the impact in the city, or the steps the city would take once they receive my application. So, thank you.
Oh, we have some questions.
Question for you.
So if you're not able to get your sewage into the city system.
So Firethorn Utility District pays a fee, and Brad knows this better than I do, but they pay a fee to the city to pump their sewer into the city sewer. And so now I would be paying that fee to Firethorn Utility District or sewer system, whatever it is, and then they would pay that fee on behalf of me to the city.
The real concern is the water.
I mean, I do that currently. I currently live in Firethorn, so I pay Firethorn Utility for my sewer system, and they pay the city. And all the other houses.
Is that a workaround, Steve?
Nope.
So the Firethorn annexation took place several years ago. It was because of the Firethorn sewer system was failing, and they were looking at their options, and the best option was for Firethorn to be hooked up to the city's sewer system. And that required that all of the lots, all of the benefiting property of this Firethorn sewer system were annexed. And so at that time, no lots were left out, even though they were receiving Firethorn sewer service. So the Lincoln Municipal Code talks about if you're going to be receiving sanitary sewer service, you need to be inside of the city limits. And so his property would be receiving the services, again, as I mentioned, the full range of services. So it's my view, because we didn't go into the details of this, it was just an assumption that this was pretty straightforward. This is an area that we'd be looking to annex anyhow. When you look at the Lincoln Fire and Rescue aspect of it, to try to have one house at the end of a cul-de-sac, and how do we maintain the little pie-shaped portion of the cul-de-sac if we don't annex all the rest of the properties, it just made sense to not further investigate that point, because he would be inside of the city limits. But it's very clear you need to be inside the city limits to have your waste served and carried by the city system.
Thank you. More questions for the applicant? No?
I move, we close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Oh, second, fight.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
Shelley?
All right, Cruz?
I
Yes.
was waiting.
Hebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Public hearing closed.
I move approval of annexation 26006.
Second, fight.
Okay, who would like to start? Yes, Commissioner?
This one should have been annexed when Firethorn was annexed. I mean, if you look at that, there's no way out of that neighborhood without hitting city property. It should have been annexed some time ago. I am happy to be the villain in that story, and I think he just simply wanted water to his property, and he didn't realize the tumbling blocks that was going to happen because we didn't annex it earlier. So I'll be supporting this motion.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I agree, Commissioner Edens. I mean, for me, it's kind of nothing or all. I mean, I agree with the city that our policy says we're not going to just do one parcel, because I can't imagine the efficiency of time to go snow remove one little piece of road and take care of, like, the fire department trying to figure out, is that my property? Is it rural? You know, who? So I hope the neighbors appreciate being part of the city, being part of faster response times, even though there hasn't been an issue yet. I would rather this property have the safety of a faster fire response, faster emergency response, and less confusion among those services, so that you all do get services fast, and especially in those safety scenarios.
Anyone else?
No,
Yes, please.
I will also be voting in support of the annexation, and a lot of it does have to do with the response times, and the fire department has been open about how much more flammable homes are now with construction materials and furnishings, and one of the things Lincoln is really proud of is their EMS response times and cardiac response. And so it just makes sense to me that it's surrounded, it's part of the city. And we've had other parcels that have come before us, and it's been a similar response, so.
Anyone else?
Shelley, was this final?
This is annexation,
Oh,
so
it
it'll move
goes to
forward to
city
city
It
council.
goes to city council. So, yes, I'll be voting in favor and then let the council hear and make their decision based on similar testimony.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? This is always a hard one for us in Planning Commission because of, we're looking at land use, and with this being, moving to city council and getting the additional look-see from our elected officials, we definitely focus on the plan, the 2040, 2050 plan, like we were talking about if it would have been in, with the Firethorn annexation earlier. Now it's in the 2050 plan, so I will be supporting. Shelley?
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Fight,
Yes.
Rodenberg.
Yes.
Ryman Yost.
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
All right, item 4.2, change of zone 26010, 48th and Pioneers Plan Unit Development, PUD, for a change of zone on approximately 10 acres from B1 to B3 PUD, B3 to B3 PUD, R2 to R3 PUD, R6 to B3 PUD, O2 and B1 to O2 PUD, and R2 to O2 PUD, generally located between South 47th Street and South 49th Street and Meredith Street and Linden Street. The plan unit development includes associated waivers to allowed height, setbacks, parking, allowed uses, and design standards. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on this item?
There are none?
Are there any ex parte communication that took place or additional information you learned while visiting the site to be disclosed?
There are none.
Good afternoon, Ben Callahan with Planning and Development Services, 555 South 10th Street. So this is a request for a change of zone to create a new PUD area, and this is roughly at along South 48th and Pioneers Boulevard. So this would be just south of Union College. And so a little bit of background, we're working with an applicant of a business owner in this area, and a little more helpful here. So here within the PUD document shows what the boundary will be. Primarily today, it's a mix of existing commercial, and I'll show you that map as well, but it's kind of chopped up with just different B zonings. There's some portions of residential, and then B3 zoning, which goes all the way north along the college on 48th. Kind of a good representation here is within the staff report we included, but just the color chart below show you the number of various districts that are in this PUD. And so working with the applicant on whether a change of zone similar to the north for B3 was appropriate, or more recently, like with the 33rd and A PUD was kind of the idea with this. It's a little smaller on the text format, but mainly bringing in this one area to a more cohesive commercial district, which has been there for decades. And then a little more helpful to see just kind of how it fits into the area, but I tried to outline the area here, and then existing B3 all along South 48th. So trying to bring that portion in. So today the area sits along the two arterial roadways. So there's portions of B1 zoning here, and then along the north side, it kind of mixes into B3 on the north and up 48th. There's an area of O2, and then even down to like some existing slivers of residential, and back to B1 here. And then there was actually a site that had the split zoning that was through a building and just kind of a long time remnant. So the south portion was R6. So definitely an effort to clean that up into one standard. And then working with the applicant, just kind of creating the PUD text that would be following. So use-wise, not a lot would change from your standard B1 to B3 uses. The main things that they'd be looking for, and especially in an area like this that's working with existing and smaller sites, they're more confined with setbacks and parking. And so looking at possibilities for either future expansion or infill on the site, some of the things we looked at with them were parking. So they are requesting that there be no parking when it's a non-residential use. So just being able to use that existing site for what they need. And then if residential was to be added in, so multifamily is allowed in B1 or B3, but that would be 0.5 stalls per dwelling unit. And planning felt comfortable with this as the site's easily accessed pedestrian and bicycle wise, and then also has the StarTran route down 48th, so fairly accessible. And then a few other things would be, so the front yard setback in B3 is 0, but this would still require at least a 10-foot setback for the properties that share a block face with residential, so still keeping some of the green space there, because numerous properties would still share a block face along the east, or east and west there.
Okay.
And then mainly just noting some of the uses that would be conditional in B3 would be permitted by right. That would include sale of alcohol on-site or off-site, and then because a lot of times you'll run into the buffers districts to residential. And then height would be increased to 55 feet, but it's limited to 35 when abutting residential. I will say at this point in the area, there's not too many sites, so maybe like 2 or 3 sites that could actually utilize that height right now, as most of them still abut residential. Last few were just adding in some provisions for signage, allowing for kind of like district identification, similar to 33rd and A, and then as well as some added design standards, which would actually prohibit things like a drive-through lane being between the street and building facade, and then different setbacks for parking. Overall, the PDs would be compatible with our comprehensive plan. It's identified as a redevelopment node, so this will help with infill or any kind of additional uses on the properties. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
It's, your recommendation is for conditional approval. What were those conditions?
Yeah, the conditional was just, I believe there's one, let's see if I have it here, one change to the text. And that was just adding, which I can note here. So this would just be adding into that PUD text sheet. We have that they have to maintain a 20-foot green space with the B3 PUD along South 47th Street. And that was actually added in as an additional restriction that with the existing parking lot here, that would be maintained at 20 feet, just because there's residential properties along South 47th. So it's still keeping that green space.
And they were okay with that?
Yes, they were.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, testimony from the applicant.
Good afternoon. Jeff Bonsall, 2901 Calvert Street. I'm representing the champions of the PUD initiative here. So thank you for your time. Our core goal of this PUD is to create an enhanced sense of space and a central commercial hub for the neighborhood. We aim to attract new investment, encourage missing housing density, and prioritize pedestrian-friendly neighborhood-serving designs. By utilizing the regulatory flexibility of a PUD, we can reduce existing barriers and directly implement the goals of the City of Lincoln's comprehensive plan by allowing greater mix of commercial residential uses. To make this vision reality, we are requesting 3 specific waivers. Been covered pretty well, but to the code, it'd be the building height increase, the setback reductions, and parking modifications. And then lastly, we're pleased to share that we hosted a neighborhood meeting with the property owners on April 20th. Had a very positive outcome and received good support for the PUD. Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Now we will have testimony and support. Testimony in a neutral capacity. Testimony in opposition. Staff questions? No? Applicant, would you like to have any rebuttal? Okay, thank you.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second, Fight.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Public hearing closed.
I move we approve change of zone 26010.
Second, Fight.
Who would like to say anything?
Yay!
It just sounds, this is what the neighborhood wants. I think it kind of makes me happy to do something the neighbors actually want.
Excellent.
I actually do spend a fair amount of time in this neighborhood, and I think it's a great addition. I'm so excited that the neighbors are thinking about mixed use and how to revitalize that area. It has so much potential, so I'm excited to support.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Same. I just, when it came across the agenda, I was excited about it as well. I think it's great to see people working together to figure out how to improve the neighborhood, but it's a place that is used by so many other people. And I love, 33rd and A, what's happening in different parts of North Lincoln. So absolutely in support.
Okay. I agree with my fellow commissioners. This is a wonderful opportunity to support this PUD, and it's going to be exciting to see what you do. Shelley?
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, Shelley, let's move to 4.3.
Item 4.3, special permit 26026, Oak Grove Personal Wireless Tower for personal wireless facilities to allow a 199-foot self-supporting tower on property generally located at 18242 Northwest 140th Street, and this is final action. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on this item?
No.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting this site to be disclosed?
No.
Ben Callahan with Planning and Development Services, 555 South 10th Street. This item is for the special permit, and this is located in far northwest portion of the county. So we're actually on the Lancaster County line with northwest 140th Street. So to the west would be Seward County. The special permit boundary pulls in the entire property, but then this would be to permit a cellular tower up to 199 feet, which is only allowed through the special permit because it exceeds the height of the AG zoning district. So submitted on the staff report here, the site plan shows how the tower, working with the applicant, they're leasing from the property owner, would continue to use the existing access on Northwest 140th Street, and then have the lease space back here for the self-supporting cell phone tower. And then roughly 10,000 square feet of leased square area here. So I did think it was helpful to print off an aerial just so you can kind of see where the site is today. So there's an existing agriculture building, but a decent number of mature trees. So it'd actually be kind of tucked away back behind the access there. As part of the special permit conditions, the applicant, two of the main things are there was a decommissioning fee that the county attorney requires for towers, so they did submit that, and that was approved by the county attorney and would be held. And then as well as another thing we look at is buffer to existing towers. This one is pretty far from any of the existing ones in Lancaster County. I believe the closest was roughly like 3.5 miles to the northeast along Agnew Road. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a question. So that's not a residential building? That's nearby?
That's
no,
I believe it's just for farm
shed
use.
or okay. And then I'm actually curious, when it's against a county line like this, do we inform Seward County residences of this process?
Yeah, so it'd send out, I believe, a mile radius range, and that would go into
Matter whether
Seward
it's
County
in our
as
county
well.
or not. Okay, I'm just curious. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Thank you. Okay, testimony from the applicant.
Good afternoon. Doug Barker, 1936 Little Refuge Road, Waleska, Georgia. I'm here representing the Towers LLC and Verizon on the application before you, 140th Street. As we're familiar, wireless has become the primary communication method for pretty much everyone. You've got 70% of homes in the U.S. that have gotten rid of landlines altogether, and the public safety aspect comes into play pretty dramatically when that's the case, with over 87% of 911 calls in the U.S. originating from wireless devices. Nearest towers out here being 3.5 miles away, it's a significant coverage gap for everyone, not just Verizon. Verizon partnered with the Towers LLC. The Towers they are a tower owning company. They're not a service provider. So they actively market this facility to all of the other providers in an effort to get everyone else out there and reduce the need for any additional towers in the area, making it easily co-locatable for anyone else that wants to use it. The facility meets or exceeds all the local, state, federal requirements, emits no fumes, no odors. We've kept it under 200 feet. And have run it through the FAA, and it does not require any lighting to be put on the structure. The staff has recommended approval and put conditions on the property, or on the recommendation. We have reviewed all of the conditions and have no issues with any of them. The facility, it aligns well with the comprehensive plan for the county as it relates to wireless communications. And with that, I would answer any questions that anyone has.
Any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will ask for testimony in support. Testimony in a neutral capacity. Testimony in opposition.
Hello. Nice blue glasses.
Thank you. You
Carol
too.
J. Bone, 13800 West Lakeview Road. And where's your little mappy maker? Okay. So they want to put the cell tower here. I live right here.
Just one moment. Try again. No, it takes some time.
One more time?
Please.
Cell tower goes here. I live
Wait.
here.
It just takes a really long time.
It's on there.
I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And, oh, I see now. Okay, there we are. Okay, apologies, I am not a public speaker or an orator, but this is Lancaster County and y'all are neighbors, so. In fact, there's the observatory. Hello. Okay, I grew up knowing that if you didn't own the view, it was gonna change. Change happens, progress happens, I get it. After 24 years as a military family, we finally retired. I finally saved up enough money, and we moved out of Lincoln to go and enjoy the quiet. My husband needed quiet. So despite the extreme expense of living in the country, and Lord is it expensive to live out there. Do you know you pay a $100 service fee just to get a plumber to come out that far? Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I appreciate the thought that there is not another tower for 3.5 miles, and it's up at the Carmel, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, or whatever it's called. And there is another tower south at Brownstoke Lake, which is also 3 miles away. There is actually cell towers all around us because that's a ridge, and the lake is a bowl. When we moved there 12 years ago, during the daytime, you could see one tower, the one he's referencing that's up on Agnew Road. At night, you could see that tower because it was lit. And you could see the 4 towers south of Lincoln because they were lit. They blinked. No big deal, didn't care. Didn't have cell service up there. We didn't care. It was quiet. Fast forward 12 years, during the day, I can see 15 towers. At night, I can see 22 towers. He's right. There's not another tower for almost 3.5 miles up on Agnew Road. However, 0.6 miles across the street, right here, is a cell tower, or a tower that's almost 100 feet tall in Seward County. We were not, as residents of Lancaster County, told that that was going to be there. We literally woke up one morning and, tower. We don't care. We don't have a choice. It's there. As for people in Seward County being notified of this project, I spoke to 3 people. The person that lives directly across the street from this project, he heard about it. He couldn't tell where the tower is going to be because of the vague map that had no road signs, no labels on it at all. He didn't know where it was. He thought they were talking about somewhere up here. He was appalled to find out it was going directly across the street from him. Mature trees, yes, I applaud your mature trees. They're only 40 feet tall. Your tower's just under 200. And it's not just the tower, it's the array. And that space gets rented out to other people that need arrays. I don't know how Verizon, if they do that or not. We don't want to look at it. Nobody comes up to Branched Oak Lake, which is a gem for this county, and stands at the lake and goes, wow, this is gorgeous. It's too bad there's a cell tower right there. People come up to our properties in this part of the county that have never been there, and they will stand. I had a plumber just 2 weeks ago come up and stand in my driveway and say, God, look at the view. I don't ever want to have someone come up and go, wow, look at the view. I'm sorry you have to look at that if it wasn't for that. Now, I know it's got to go somewhere. I get it. We all like to watch 4K movies while we're camping in our mobile home. We want to call 911. It'll attach to any tower. There are very few dead spots. I bike 12 miles a day. I know where the dead spots are. But I've also been told that there is a secondary spot, and if there is a secondary spot on a higher elevation in Seward County, and the reason they're taking this one or trying for this one is because it's a little less expensive.
One
Now,
more minute.
if there is a higher elevation in Seward and it costs them a little bit more and affects fewer people, that's the way to go, because they'll get broader coverage. Because right now in this area, this 1 mile square, each one of these dots, each one of those dots, 1 mile square of that tower, 56 homes, occupied homes, not vacation homes, not rentals. They're all occupied except for the 8 that are on Branched Oak Lake right outside the park on the main drag. So if there's another location that doesn't involve 56 people that obviously couldn't be here today because it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, have to work, we would prefer it not be there. Some of my neighbors have health concerns for their children. For us, it's the view, it's the property values. I thank you.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Nope, you're good. Thank you. Okay, other testimony in opposition?
My name is Bonnie Sindelar. I live at 13600 West Lakeview Road, Raymond, Nebraska. Is the map still up? I can't tell.
Yep. Yep.
This property here. I'm not going to speak as well as Carol did. She's a powerhouse and we love having her, and she is such a benefit to our community, and we love having her around. And what I want to address, first off, I have Verizon. I get great service at my house. I have absolutely no issues. So that idea is, and I don't sit at the top of the hill like Carol does. We're kind of down in the valley. So I've never had any issues getting service, and neither have any of my family. Like Carol said, with the whole public safety concern and not being able to call 911, whatever that means, it's my understanding that 911 will use any cell tower. It does not need to use a specific company that you have. So I don't think that would be a valid complaint. The whole idea that we heard that the cell tower will be, quote, tucked into the trees, like Carol pointed out, is hilarious, given that this tower is 5 times as high as the trees are. It's certainly not going to be tucked in. And like I said, from what we understand and what you addressed with Seward County, it's my understanding that a lot of them, if not all of them, were not fully notified, or at least clearly notified. And I know we got 2 letters very shortly before this meeting. The first one was from the consulting firm, which had a very, very vague map. I couldn't even read it and understand where the tower was going to be. And the second one was from the county, I believe, and that was like a week ago. So the fact that there aren't more people here, given, like Carol said, we have 56 homes, I was either A, they don't even know, or B, it's a tough time, and we were given almost no notice for this to plan our lives around it. So like Carol said, I believe that we've heard that there are other location, at least one other location possibility that would affect far fewer homes. And that just doesn't go to the view, the possible value, devaluing the value of our homes because of the view. Any other concerns that the fact that we moved out to the country so we don't have to live next to cell towers. And again, if there are other places where it could affect 1/5 maybe of the amount of people that it's affecting at this location, I think that should definitely be considered. I don't think Verizon is probably short on money to pay a little bit more for a different location that will affect someone else or affect other people less people. I just wanted to read really quickly. I know that it's controversial as far as potential health effects of living close to a cell tower. 2022 review published in environmental research examined studies from 20 countries on people living near cell towers. Almost 74% of them reported human health impacts associated with higher exposure to radio frequency radiation. The 3 types consistently identified were cancer, radio frequency sickness, including headaches, sleep, memory issues, and then changes in biochemical parameters such as DNA damage and changes in blood cells. Again, like regardless of whether mainstream science is accepting this or not, it's a potential risk. It seems like at least some of it is legitimate. Why are we exposing more people to this if we have the potential to put it somewhere that would affect less people? So that is my testimony.
Any question? Thank you. Any other testimony in opposition? Okay, staff questions? Did health have any concerns? Did they bring up anything?
They did not. Health is on the reviews for personal wireless and did not have any concerns.
Well, I guess I do. So the applicant, and maybe this is a question for the applicant, but they said no lights are necessary on this tower, and that's accurate?
Yeah, and because it's under 200 feet.
Okay. That was all I had. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Applicant rebuttal?
Thank you. I don't really typically address the health issues a whole lot because the Telecommunications Act kind of controls that a little more on the federal level. But just for research, if anyone wants to look it up, the study that's considered the most comprehensive it was put out in 2024 by the World Health Organization. It's considered the most comprehensive study to date, and it shows no link between cancer and wireless communications, and specifically citing that the skyrocketing rates of wireless communication over the years, and cancer rates have remained generally unchanged. They continue steady. Again, just more for research if anyone wants to really look up things from places like the WHO. We examined every existing structure out there. There is 100-foot, I believe it's a wooden pole that's in the location that they were talking about that would not support anything to do with wireless communications. The lake that's out here is a big part of the reason for this tower. It's not there is the big hole in coverage out there, but also when in the summertime you get all of the people out there, it becomes capacity. These facilities can only handle so much capacity at any given time, and when you put a massive amount of people out there that aren't generally out there, the infrastructure feels it, and 911 calls, those sorts of things are not going to be able to go through because of it. it's the people that drive the locations typically. And I mean, it's a beautiful area, and there's a lot of people that go there to enjoy it. That's really kind of the reason for the tower going out there. We did pursue several other locations. They didn't work from lease standpoints, and it led us to this. I will point out that we don't build these just randomly. This facility will cost $500,000 to build. It's not something that we just randomly try to throw out there when it's not necessary. It was originally designed as a 250-foot tower, but when we went through and looked at the area, the lake, the observatory, those sorts of things, we ran it through FAA to try to bring it down to a height where we didn't have to have a light on it, to try to be a good neighbor with everyone out there. That's I think that addresses the majority of the concerns. We sent letters to everyone within a mile, as well as the county sending letters to everyone within a mile. We can only go off the tax records for addresses, assuming the same with the county. But we did try to inform everyone as to what was going on. So I'd be happy to answer any question.
Yes, Commissioner?
The sewage site that was referred to, that would be less intrusive.
Well, that.
Okay. Debatable. Was it for financial reasons that you chose this site?
No, it was, we just couldn't come to lease terms with the owner.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay. Oh, 2 seconds.
Good afternoon. Woody Krog. I also represent the applicant in this application, 9973 Valley View Road, Eden Prairie, Minnesota. I'm the one who sent out the outreach letters, 70-some letters based off the list provided by the planning office. I received one call from a gentleman who was in favor of Mr. Stillinger. Hopefully I'm not throwing him under the bus. But I did not receive any calls from anybody else asking, where is this going? Can you explain your map to me? Anything of that nature. We did have an agreement with a neighbor on the Seward County side, and now we'll show you a map here where that was located. I don't think it would affect less homeowners. Would just be coming from a different direction. Well, I don't have the zoning map handy, but I can believe you might be able to see it on the map here. Is this Branched Oak Road right here? Is that?
No, that's Oak Grove.
Oak Grove Road. That's the one I'm talking. Right. So where that square is, roughly where that square is, I believe. This is 140th. Yeah. So it was in this vicinity, somewhere near there, on the Seward County side, is the landowner we were working with. But for various reasons, leasing and other reasons, we've moved to the Seward, to the Lancaster County side. As far as RF emissions, obviously that is a common public health perception. Federal agencies such as FCC, OSHA, EPA, FDA, et cetera, are the scientific experts that are relied on by the federal government for our safety standards, and to which all wireless carriers must adhere to those rules. I did submit the Telecommunications Act of 1996 that Doug touched on, which expressly prohibits local authorities from considering those issues as part of the permitting process. Also submitted was an RF fact sheet. This should be available in all your public documents with this application, along with the Bulletin 65, which is from the FCC, which is the guidelines that we follow as far as RF safety is concerned. So, any questions?
Any questions? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-oh. This is a quick comment. Steve Hendrickson, Planning and Development Services, 555 South 10th Street. Just because I can quickly get to some of these maps. So in the middle of this map is the 120 acres that the tower is on. This is just a map showing the properties that were notified. We sent out a little over 70 notices, which was to everyone within a mile if their property was within a mile. So even if their property is much larger, that's why the boundary is actually almost 1.25 miles to the east, because if we touch part of the property, we, in this display, show the entire property. And so actually we have to go to quite a bit of trouble to find all of the addresses on the Seward side of the boundary. And we've made contacts now with all the adjacent property owners, county assessor's office and things, to try to get those so that we can try to have the most accurate information to notify people. So I do want to provide that information, as well as kudos to my staff who have to go to a lot of trouble to get these notifications sent out. And the map that is used in those letters is the same map that you have in your staff report.
If you could leave that there for a second, sir. I'd just add the Seward County property, if I can figure it out here now. It would be one right here, the square.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other items? Go ahead.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second, Fight?
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Public hearing closed.
I move we approve special permit 26026.
Second, Fight?
I wouldn't want to see a cell tower. I don't know the right answer. I mean, as technology increases and these towers are going up everywhere, I don't know the right answer. Property owner said, "Hey, I don't mind one on my property. I'm willing to lease it out. They're making some money off of it." And under a land use thing, they checked all the boxes.
Right. I agree, Commissioner Edens. We kind of are, I mean, it's allowed, it's private property. What's the benefit is it doesn't have to have a light on it. I mean, that is one positive. So I guess you gotta look at the positives, but thank you.
Any other comments or questions amongst each other? No? Okay. This is a tough one, as usual, because of all the personal feelings, and all of us use the cell phone, and as being the rural representative, I have a lot of cell phone towers around where we are. However, I do enjoy the coverage that I have. Unfortunately, or fortunately, these are tough decisions. And again, we're looking at it from a land use standpoint, so I'll be supporting this. Shelley?
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Okay, real quick before we call the next one, do we need a 5-minute break?
I'm okay.
Everybody okay?
I'm okay.
Okay, we'll go ahead.
Okay.
Power
Right.
through.
I first want to note, before we go to the next hearing item, Commissioner Ryman Yost has declared a conflict of interest on item 4.4, text amendment 26007, and will recuse herself from voting on this item. Item 4.4, text amendment 26007, to amend the Lancaster County zoning regulations, Article 2 definitions, to expand the definition of recreational facilities to include a passive recreational uses, including observatories or telescopes, and to amend Article 13, special permit for recreational facilities, to allow the Planning Commission to authorize area or yard requirement reductions. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on this item?
There are none.
Are there any ex parte communications that took place or additional information you learned while visiting this site to be disclosed?
There are none.
George Wesselhoff, Planning and Development Services, 555 South 10th Street. Good afternoon. The text amendment before you is to amend the county zoning regulations, specifically 2 articles or sections, Article 2 definitions and Article 13 special permit as it pertains to recreational facilities. The amendment is proposed by the Branched Oak Observatory, and they're located on a 5.2 acre property approximately a half mile south of West Raymond Road at 14300 Northwest 98th Street, to the southeast of Branched Oak Lake. Recently, in 2025, it was discovered that the use in question is not an allowed use under the regulations. It's a very unique use, obviously, and the applicant at that time had contacted us proactively and was asking about possible expansion plans, and we determined that it wasn't allowed use, so it was something that was discovered last year. The zoning for their property is AG agricultural. The amendment proposed is to add passive or observational activities such as nature walks, bird watching, or astronomy, and include observatories and telescopes within the scope of allowable facilities under the definition of recreational facilities, because presently that definition only includes or is geared towards active recreational facilities like a soccer complex, baseball fields, etc. In addition, the amendment proposes to add provisions to the special permit provisions to permit the Planning Commission to modify the area and lot requirements for recreational facilities. And this is specific to the applicant will assist when they apply for the special permit because of identified setback issues. Also, their lot area is less than 20 acres, which is the general minimum requirement under AG zoning. And so the applicant will have to submit a special permit application after the text amendment would be approved, specifically under Article 13 for the special permit for recreational facilities. And at that time, site-specific issues such as building location, parking, the intensity of the use would be looked at specific to that time frame. I would note that since this application for the text amendment was very much tailored, although it would affect or include other passive recreational uses, we did send out a notice to all the property owners within a mile, even though it's not required for a text amendment, because this is such a unique use and the text amendment is very much aligned with the use, though there could be other future applicants as well. So I would note there were, as you saw, a number of letters submitted, I think approximately 3 dozen. The vast majority of those were in support of the text amendment. One of those letters actually noted the, on one example, the number of persons that come to the facility, referencing May 2024 Aurora event, where they had 1,300 people come out on the first night and 1,200 on the second night. So those would be things that would be looked at with the special permit, number of persons, frequency of the events, and so forth. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Who has questions?
So like you said, this would retroactively, like others, like prairies and other groups that are in ag zones specifically?
Correct.
Can apply now after if we approve this? Okay.
Yes, the applicant worked with staff prior to the formal application on the drafting of the text amendment to be more broad than just for an observatory. So this would potentially benefit other passive recreational facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Testimony from the applicant.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Ann Post. I'm an attorney with Rembolt Ludke Law Firm. That is 1128 Lincoln Mall, Suite 300. I'm here today on behalf of the Branched Oak Observatory. With me today is Matt Anderson, you can see seated right behind me, who is a co-founder as well as the current executive director of the Branched Oak Observatory. And you will note we actually have several volunteers and supporters in the audience, and I would really appreciate them taking the time to sit through a long and hot meeting for some reason, a warm room. Hot meeting to be able to be here for this meeting today. As was noticed, Branched Oak Observatory was founded in 2015 with a mission of sharing the wonders of the night sky with eastern Nebraska. To this end, the organization invites the public to its facilities during its regular hours. It also hosts monthly events, and then it also it hosts monthly events. It also partners with community organizations to host events with the idea of both building community and also through building community to really expand and share that love of the night sky and the wonders of the night sky. So with that, as Mr. Russell-Hoff mentioned, it was as proactive as the organization reaching out to the county to talk about their future expansion plans is when this issue was first identified. Not only is an observatory, it was stated not a permitted use, it's not a use contemplated by the zoning code. And so that's where we started those conversations with the planning staff to recognize it as a use contemplated by the zoning code and under what conditions it could be allowed. So as stated, this is an amendment to the definition of recreational facilities so that it's no longer just based on how high your heart rate is, whether it's a recreational facility, which we certainly appreciate. This expands the definition of recreational facilities to include observational uses such as stargazing, nature walks, bird watching, and those types of facilities. As was noted, next, assuming this is approved, there will have to be an application for a special permit. That includes looking at conditions such as the number of events, the intensity of events, a parking plan. I will note that there hasn't been a traffic incident at this. The organization goes through extensive parking plans, has over 150 parking stalls on site. But that is all something that we'll get in much more detail on the special permit. Also, included with that is also a lighting plan, which is very unique with an observatory. As you know, typically you're trying to minimize lighting. This is a user that actually is very interested in minimizing the lighting on their site as well. So assuming that this commission and the county board is supportive of this text amendment, that will be our next step to bring a special permit forward for this use. So with that, I would ask your support of this text amendment, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Who would like to ask a question? Any? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, I also wanted to invite next up Mr. Anderson just to tell you a little bit more about Branched Oak Observatory.
Excellent.
Thank you, Ann. Commissioners, my name is Matt Anderson, live at 14300 Northwest 98th Street, Raymond, Nebraska. Thank you very much for your time today. The Branched Oak Observatory is amazing. In 2014, when we got started, in 2015, when we became official, a star was born. Not up in the heavens, but here in Lancaster County. The Branched Oak Observatory is an amazing facility that touches lives across all economics, all barriers, all the things that you can think of, we touch. We have kids, we have a lot of school groups that come out, we have older folks. It's really amazing to see the wonders of the night sky through the eyes of a child, through the eyes of an individual who maybe hasn't looked at a telescope in the last 50 years. Two quick stories come to mind. We had a gentleman whose grandfather had saw Halley's Comet back in the early 1900s. I remember his grandfather telling him about that. Halley's Comet came by, and guess what? Came out to the Branched Oak Observatory. He got a chance to see history repeat itself on a personal level. He was actually brought to tears because he was able to connect with his grandfather who had passed on years before. That connection was definitely amazing. And then we always have young kids come out, and I had a 5-year-old, and I don't know if you have any 5-year-olds, but they are precocious and they ask a lot of the really great questions in life. And this little girl, she looked into the telescope and she goes, "Is that real?" I said, "Yes, it is." And we went and looked at the moon, and she looked at the moon and she goes, "Is it really made out of cheese?" And I said, "Well, you'll have to go there and find out." So I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you here today. What we're talking about here is something that is unique to Nebraska, unique to Lancaster County. This is a gem in the backyard here, and we are touching lives, and it is an incredible opportunity in which to continue to do so. And I thank you very much for your consideration for approval of this text amendment. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you
Okay.
for your testimony. Okay. At this time, we would like to have testimony in support.
That's fine.
Oh, more applicant?
More. In support.
Perfect. Come on up.
In support. Thank you very much.
Name and address, please.
Commissioners, what pleasure it is to be here. My name is Eric Hubble. I reside at 624 South 51st Street in Lincoln, Nebraska. And, well, I first caught the astronomy bug when I was 8 years old. My mother, who had immigrated from Norway, used to tell me stories about the Northern Lights. And one summer, while we were watching the summer meteors at the dark skies of Red Cloud, Nebraska, I was thrilled and I was captivated and I was caught. And these past 3 years have provided us a great opportunity to see some wonderful aurora displays, and almost anybody with a cell phone can capture them. And so all across our great state of Nebraska, there's been some amazing views. And like Matt spoke about, this brought people of interest to the observatory to learn about more. The Branched Oak Observatory is really a tremendous asset for our community. It stands amongst the legacy of other area observatories that we have. And when I see our young visitors marvel at what they're seeing, I'm reminded of my youth and the way I felt. So I urge all of you to make a visit out there and experience it yourself. Please vote in support of this amendment. It will help us bring the universe to the public and inspire the next generation of those 8-year-olds. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you.
I also would add, I'm pleased to see the discussion of light pollution. Years ago, in my past life, I worked with Ken Fairchild, Olson Associate, the Planning Department, Planning Commission, and we put in place those very first lighting regulations. So it kind of gives me a thrill to see you continuing with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other testimony in support? Testimony in a neutral position? Testimony in opposition?
Neutral.
Oh, wait, do we have a neutral?
Opposition.
Nope. Okay. Come on up then. Thank you. You guys make me jump.
Well, she was on it. She was like, she's
I
ready.
know, I was like,
ready.
I know. That's good. Thank you. Name and address, please.
My name is Karen Bludgick, and I live at 15100 Northwest 98th Street, Raymond, which is right at the intersection of Northwest 98th and Raymond Road, which is the intersection where people turn off of Raymond Road to get to the observatory. And it's roughly a half mile south from my house. I personally don't have any issues with the observatory. I think it's a great thing. I'm a former teacher, not science, but I do think it's a great thing. I am, however, concerned about the safety at this corner that I live on. In the Raymond area, it's also known as Coffin Corner. There have been multiple fatalities at this intersection over the years. I've been down to this intersection holding towels to mitigate blood loss on teenagers' heads because they've gone through the windshield. We see it all. There's a lot going on with the lake. There's a lot of lake traffic that may not be in the best mindset to drive when they are leaving the lake. We see this very frequently. And I am very concerned about this intersection where, as I said in my letter I submitted, hearing screeching tires, honking, people pull over with their motorcycles or with their trailers and RVs at that intersection to adjust things as they get on the road. And with the youth attending events at the observatory, there's a lot of inexperienced drivers, so that just adds to that. But I would just like to see any recreational use postponed until there's a formal traffic study done at this intersection, and also on the gravel road that the observatory lies on. I personally know of a farmer who was had a tractor on the road. It's for agriculture there. Had a tractor with pulling a large piece of equipment, and a child did dart out in front of him from the observatory. And I can't imagine what would happen if that had been an actual fatality. As a commercial lines underwriter, I'm very concerned with safety. If I were underwriting this risk, I would not put my stamp on it because I would not want the liability of potential fatalities with the increased traffic. Science is great, astronomy is great. I'm not so sure about the barbecues, the bicycle races, things like that. There's a live band apparently coming soon. So I don't see the astronomical value for that. I would love to see the observatory stay there, but these special events, and they've been going on without permits for years, it scares me.
Okay, any questions? Thank
Thanks.
you. Any other testimony in opposition? Staff questions?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Commissioner?
The intersection she referred to, is that a controlled intersection? Stop signs, yields?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I might ask our county engineer representative to come forth.
Perfect, thank you.
There are stop signs on Northwest 98th Street going
Come on
north
up,
and
County
south,
Engineer.
but there's nothing on Raymond Road. That's a highway, and it's a sharp curve that goes around up to the lake. It's right before you get to the dam, so that's kind of part of the historical reason for the accidents is the sharp curve at that intersection.
Come on up.
Gotta use the microphone.
John Barry, Lancaster County Engineering, 444 Cherry Creek Road. She's exactly right. There is a stop sign there. It is a dangerous intersection. There has been accidents. A lot of it is due to the lake itself. So that's how it would be, what I could say about that.
Commissioner?
So a lot to do with this, the road issues and the traffic at this would be covered under a special permit that they still have to put in, and not necessarily the text amendment that blankets these uses can be allowed.
Right, as part of the special permit application, they would indicate the number of persons, frequency of events, and then the county engineer would look at traffic aspects related to that.
Under the special permit.
Yes.
Correct. We'll look at the entrance, we'll look at that kind of information.
And you'll do a traffic study prior.
Well, that'll be one of the
Or at that time.
requirements. We'll ask about the traffic counts and things along that line.
Okay, thank you.
So they will be required to apply for a permit for a special event.
The special permit itself would identify the maximum number of persons and frequency of events associated with the use.
Okay.
That covered all my questions.
Covered all your questions. Good. There you go. I think it does mine also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Applicant rebuttal?
Good afternoon. Well, I guess I would note that an observatory is a unique use. It is unique in that it is the best to be further out away from the lights of the city so you can actually see the wonders of the night sky. That it's also something that is best used when it does draw some traffic. When you do have people there to use it, for example, holding the community events, because that builds community both in Lancaster County, as you have heard from some of our wonderful volunteers who are willing to sit through this long meeting, that builds that community to share that love. And so while there is some concern about traffic, I would note, as you've heard today, first that that's something that's going to be examined with a special permit, but also that a lot of that traffic is not generated by this use, that it is generated by lake use. Also, I would note that just with the timing of observatory, often that the peak time from observatory is probably not the peak time for lake use. So there is that timing consideration in there as well. So we are very aware of those considerations that will be coming as part of that. But that also, a lot of the concerns we're hearing don't have to do with the observatory use, but we're more as a nature of the lake use that is near the facility. So with that, we really appreciate your consideration. Again, for this text amendment, what's in front of you is the text amendment, and that next step will be the special permit that will get into more of those use issues in detail. Any other questions?
I don't think so. Thank
you.
I move we close the public hearing.
Second, fight.
I move, oops, sorry.
Cruz?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You got caller names.
Here
I'm
you go,
sorry.
Shelley. Shelley, please call the vote.
Cruz?
Yes.
Ebert?
Yes.
Edens?
Yes.
Fight?
Yes.
Rodenberg?
Yes.
Ryman Yost? Oh,
She
sorry.
recused herself.
Joy?
Yes.
Public hearing closed.
I move approval of text amendment 26007.
Second, fight.
Thank you. Who would you like to go?
I
with
think
your
there's a
motion?
lot of things that need to be worked out under the special permit side of things. There are definitely some concerns that need to be addressed, and we will cover that in a future one. But as far as a land use of an observatory in an agricultural area, that's exactly what we should have. I've gone to Branch Oak or not Branch Oak, the one out at Holmes Lake.
Holmes
For
Lake, yeah.
years and years, that was our Saturday night thing, was to go there. And the light pollution there has gotten pretty bad for that particular observatory. So I'm excited to check this one out at some point, maybe after all of this, including the special permit.
Not just report it.
So I'll be supporting this text amendment.
Okay.
I have also not been out to the observatory, but I've spent countless hours in my youth and even adult life staring through my own telescope. And I'm plan on having a visit. I will also be supportive of this.
Yeah, I really appreciate being proactive, but also not thinking only for your observatory, but other uses. Personally, I serve on a prairie board, so I appreciate that you included prairie walks and just other optional uses besides getting your heart rate up, other than observatory, to be able to open it up to other community organizations that do similar outdoor activities. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I do appreciate this text amendment in front of us, and it gives us an opportunity to define that. So thank you, and I'll be supporting this. Shelley, let's call the vote.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
Approved 6-0.
Oh, I motion to adjourn.
Oh, wait, I have to say something.
Yeah, you do.
I do. At this
do.
time, I was looking for my sheet. I got too many sheets going. At this time, anyone wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so. Boom.
I motion to adjourn.
Second fight.
Shelley.
Cruz,
Yes.
Ebert,
Yes.
Edens,
Yes.
Veit,
Yes.
Rodenberg,
Yes.
Joy.
Yes.
We are adjourned.